Today, Peter Obi, Alex Otti, others hold Labour Party NEC meeting, thereafter stormed INEC office over leadership crisis. And Julius Abure group insists they remain the authentic leadership of the party, and they have warned that the Peter Obi group should not rejoice just yet. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Akimale here in Abuja. Tonight, it's about the Labour Party and the internal wranglings. We'll be hearing from both sides of the divide what exactly is wrong with the party. How can the party forge a common cause and move ahead, not only for the interests of those who are in the Labour Party, for the interests of opposition politics and the interests of the Nigerian nation. So, we shall be dissecting these issues and bringing you all that you need to know as far as the Labour Party is concerned tonight. Stick around with me, everyone. But first, let's serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
The federal government says its Naira for Crude initiative with local refineries is not a temporary measure but a key policy directive designed to support sustainable local refining. The government also said the initiative is still in effect and will continue immediately, overruling the decision of the NNPCL under its former boss, Mele Kyari. The Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, has called for concerted efforts by customs agencies within the West and Central African region to adopt technologies that will help boost revenue collections. Mr. Edun, who gave the charge at a meeting in Abuja, decries the low intra-African trade, noting that while the hike in import tariffs by the United States remain high, the action presents an opportunity for Africans to improve their trade balances and revenue mobilization processes.
We can't overemphasize the urgency that we are now facing in this area. We need to quickly pivot to build resilience, rebuild attractiveness, and set achievable goals for the next phase of customs modernization in our region.
The Labour Party has condemned a violent attack that was carried out on the Lagos State Party Secretariat by thugs, which left the office vandalized and valuable properties worth hundreds of millions of naira missing. At a press briefing, the chairman of the party in the state, Dayo Ekong, is calling for an investigation into the matter by relevant authorities, demanding for justice. The Action Alliance Party has withdrawn its membership from the Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, and has instead joined the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, stating that the CUPP lacks legal standing, leadership, and cohesion. A statement from the national chairman of the party, Mr. Kenneth Udeze, reveals that the differences between the Action Alliance and the CUPP have become irreconcilable and hopes that their exit will serve as a, quote, catalyst for reflection and reform within the CUPP, end quote. Protesters from the Shekiri ethnic group have shut down a 28,000 barrels per day oil facility in Uborodo, Warri Southwest local government area of Delta State, in response to mounting anger over INEC's proposed ward delineation for Warri Federal Constituency. The peaceful demonstration involving men, women, and youth targeted a facility formerly operated by Shell and now owned by Renaissance Africa Energy Holdings. Describing the proposal as a form of ethnic cleansing, the protesters accused INEC and its alleged collaborators of attempting to politically sideline the Shekiris. They're demanding the immediate withdrawal of the delineation plan and a fresh, fair process that reflects the historical and legitimate structure of communities across Southwest and North local government areas.
There you have it. You've been served with your political roundup stories. So let's get at it, everyone, and get your chair and your seat adjusted. Get a cup of coffee because we're going to serve you with all what you need to know as far as the Labour Party is concerned. So where do we begin from? Let's begin from here in Abuja, where Mr. Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, alongside the likes of Alex Otti, Olumide Akpata, they held a National Executive Council meeting in Abuja today, and the meeting comes amid controversy over the recent Supreme Court judgment in the national chairmanship position for the Labour Party. The meeting, which was held earlier today at the Transcorp Hilton, was chaired by former finance minister and the chair of the party's caretaker committee, Senator Nanadi Usman. In attendance were 2023 presidential candidate of the party and his running mate, Mr. Dati Baba Ahmed, and the Abure State Governor, Alex Otti. Let me allow you to listen to Senator, well, according to the setup that you see there on your screen, at the Transcorp Hilton today, being tagged as a neck meeting of the party, the leader of that setup is the caretaker committee chair, Senator Nanadi Usman. Let me allow you to listen to what she had to say as far as that the situation is concerned and the position of the Labour Party.
Yeah. I would like to reiterate that some of the foundation stones of this great party of ours are unity, team spirit, social justice, and reconciliation. The Apex Court has rightly delivered its judgment, and it is time for all to sheath their swords. I therefore call on all party members, whether aggrieved by the decision of the Supreme Court or not, to set aside their grievances and ambitions and come join us to build a party that will stand with the ordinary Nigerian, and a party that would ensure that the gains of democracy are available to every Nigerian.
There used to be a party, a mammoth, that said it was going to misrule Nigeria for 60 years. Today, that party is not only a department, it is a detachment of another party. There was only one party that was conditioned to win the elections, and Labour Party won the election. What happened? Of course, they switched off IREV, they changed the meaning of English language, and they bent our constitution. And I remain by what I said. This serving government remains questionably constitutional.
Those are some of the views shared earlier today. But Mr. Obi, Peter Obi, has his own views about the situation, not only of the Labour Party, but that of the country.
Some have speculated all sorts of things. Some have even said, oh, he has left the Labour Party. Some of us are on our way out. Some of us are on our way this. Let me assure you, we are Labour Party members. I have never discussed with any other party. If we are going to discuss with anybody, we'll discuss it jointly from our house as Labour Party. No party will tell you that they've seen me discussing with them. And like I always say, Governor, we would sit down and discuss. Everybody, leadership, stakeholders will say, we want to be part of this. It is not Peter Obi's choice. It is choice of everybody. Yeah. We must move and do everything we are doing as a family, because we're choosing to be family. Nigeria is collapsing. Anybody can say anything. The numbers are clear. The indices are clear. Very clear. More and more people are poorer. If you want, go to your village. The people who are begging now are no longer. There are even people who are that are no longer people who used to feed and I'm begging.
Those are Mr. Peter Obi's views earlier today. So what exactly is going on? The there. But we're also hearing what Mr. Abure said. Is it a day or 2 days ago? Mr. Julius Abure had come out to say, look, they remain the authentic leadership of the party. Let me remind everyone what Mr. Abure said.
It is, however, regrettable that certain actors, most notably Senator Nanadi Usman, who ironically is not a member of our party, and Delitu Nuo Kocha, have chosen to misrepresent the ruling, deliberately misleading the public and attempting to manufacture confusion through a purported caretaker committee. Let it be stated categorically that the so-called committee is both unconstitutional and illegitimate. Let it be known within the Federation and beyond that there is no vacuum in the leadership of Labour Party.
All right. Part of what the position of Mr. Abure's leadership is the fact that people like Honorable Afam Victor Ogene, the leader of the Labour Party caucus in the House of Representatives, has been removed from that position. And the man is here with me tonight on the program. Honorable Afam Victor Ogene is the head, as the chair of the Labour Party caucus in the House of Representatives. Thanks so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Shehu.
You have
good evening,
you have been removed. That's what we hear as the head of the caucus in the party in the House of Reps.
By who?
I mean, the word came out yesterday. Didn't you see it?
Well, I saw it. My attention was brought to it, and the caucus responded by educating our former national chairman that
Is it former?
Yes.
You're referring to Julius Abure?
Yes, the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, declared that last Friday, April 4th. And we did school him that for you to fire, you must be the one to have hired. He didn't hire me as caucus leader. My colleagues did. In April 2023, when we came in, through a very competitive election, out of which 34 members, I won with 21 votes. And I still repose their confidence. In fact, even today, at the sidelines of our meeting, there is this communique signed by 21 members who attended the meeting. And so if we have about 28 members, remember some traveled out, we are on recess, but we'll have as much as 21 members
of the Labour Party.
Of the Labour Party House of Representatives caucus. And they signed in, affirming my leadership of the caucus. So it's a non-issue.
Aside that, I mean, when you say that Julius Abure is a former national leader, of the former national chairman, what do you mean? Is the Supreme Court succinct and straightforward in that the Supreme Court categorically mentioned that Julius Abure ceased to become the national chairman of the party?
I'm sure you know you are a lawyer. I have not come here to sit in judgment over this highest court in the land, just like the Abure group are doing. This judgment, 48 pages, is written in plain English for even a layman to understand. First, listening to him, he referred to Nanadi Usman as a non-member of the party and that the National Caretaker Committee is unknown to the party. But he forgets that it is this same Caretaker Committee that is the appellant in the instant case we are talking about. And all the three issues formulated for resolution was resolved in favor of this same National Caretaker Committee led by distinguished Senator, former Minister Esther Nanadi Usman. Whereas Abure's cross appeal was thrown out. And then the Supreme Court goes ahead to even advise that political party leaders must be humble enough to leave the scene when their tenure is over. Who were they talking about? Is it me? I'm not contesting for any party leadership. So if the Caretaker Committee was unknown to the party, I'm sure the Supreme Court would not even have listened.
But that was not in contention. What was in contention was issue of tenureship, was the issue of the substantive matter that went to the appeal court as to Mr. Abure, the congresses, and all whatnot that led to the formation of the party, isn't it? Those are the...
And what was the... What did the court...
No, I'm asking because the confusion here, the Supreme Court ruled as to the supremacy of the party. Yes. How the party should use its own internal mechanism to resolve its own issue. And that, look, you cannot allow the court to adjudicate on the internal crisis of the party. The party should be able to do that. So the big question here is that, which one is supreme? Is it the Nadi Usman headship of the party or the Julius Abure? That's where the confusion right here is. Let me take you back a little. This whole process started... that's talking about the caretaker committee on September 4th, 2024, last year, after the Independent National Electoral Commission refused to deal with Julius Abure, stating in no uncertain terms that his tenure had lapsed by June 8, 2024. Because there was a case in court, which has not been decided. No. The INEC did not base that decision. Yeah, but you couldn't recognize it because there was INEC. One of the INEC's reason was that there is a substantive matter in court which has not been decided about the leadership and whether or not. You don't forget, in Ondo State, who is responsible in fielding or conducting the primary of the party? Because which were the issues? No, because Julius Group went to court. And INEC is bound to obey any court order, which is why on the INEC portal, what you will see as national chairman and secretary is Julius Abure and his secretary. But of course, with a caveat, by court order. Now that court order no longer exists because those two judgments from the High Court to the Appeal Court, the Supreme Court has simply said they were wrong to have pronounced Abure chairman of the party. I don't know what else you wanted the Supreme Court to do. And if they have thrown it back to the party, who is the party? The party has several segments, several stakeholders. The Nigerian Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, elected members of the National Assembly, elected members of the State Assembly, the governor and his deputy, and not to forget our natural leader, Mr. Peter Obi. So if all these segments and other stakeholders, the obedient group, are saying that your tenure has since lapsed, you cannot lead us. By the way, is it when you want to lead people and people say you cannot lead us, if we even leave the courts out of it, would you force your way to say you must lead them? How many people has joined Labour since Abure started this fiasco? It's not bringing anybody into the party. Rather, people are leaving the party because of his intransigence. Why is this issue? It looks like the Supreme Court judgment is being difficult to understand or to interpret because the two parties here that are affected by this judgment are interpreting it differently. It's not difficult. That is what we in the public are seeing. No, it's not difficult. The Supreme Court is saying that the party should find a way of resolving issues and not bother it with such issues. But why is that difficult to do? Why? No, it's not difficult. I just told you. At the time Abure's tenure lapsed, there were 9 statutory members of the National Executive Council. 7 of them between the NLC and the TUC, and then Governor Otti and his deputy. And these are the same 9 people who went to Umuahia alongside other stakeholders to resolve that the party must move ahead. And that was how the Nadi Usman Caretaker Committee came about. They were to conduct Congress. So naturally, after the Supreme Court judgment, what should have happened to Julius Abure and his NWC? No, what should happen is that the National Caretaker Committee is going to conduct congresses from bottom up. From the ward to the LG, to the state and the national. Yes, as against the inverted pyramid, which Abure did from the top to the bottom.
And they haven't even gotten to the... if you're building a 3-story building like Governor Otti said today, will you start from the
Isn't the Constitution had given them that prerogative to be able to determine how they run the affairs of the party?
It didn't give the... Where did the delegates come from? How can you generate delegates if you start the congresses from the top?
So you imagine that, naturally speaking, that as soon as the Supreme Court ruled a few days ago that Mr. these things himself and his colleague in the NWC and exit the stage. Is that the position?
Yeah, exit the stage, but that does not mean leaving Labour Party. The door is still open for him to run for election if he wants to remain as national chairman. But the processes must be followed through. He would have to wait when we have, the structures from the wards and up.
You were at the NEC meeting led by Mr. Peter Obi and Senator Nana today. It does look like, from what I hear, because I listen largely to almost everybody who spoke, the disappointment that looks like Mr. Abure is being sponsored or used by external forces. Why do you people feel like that?
Well, in African Palace, if the witch cries in the night and the baby dies at dawn, of course, you know where to locate the problem. Certainly, an Abure, you begin to wonder what is giving him the guts. This was the same Abure who rose by subterfuge from Assistant Secretary of Labour Party to become national chairman. I don't want to go too back. You cannot even begin to interrogate that. You begin to wonder who is funding him. Why is it that in every off-season election in all the states, there are issues around money and the wrong use of money? Can Abure tender an account of the party, a party that you leave penniless at every point in time, yet you sell forms, you go, there is a fiasco. So talking about who is funding him, it's like asking who is funding the crisis in the PDP. We all know how it came about.
What does your gut feeling tells you about the crisis in the party? You think that some people are funding it?
Of course.
Who are these people?
The people who were shocked by the phenomenal rise of the Labour Party.
Who are those? Is it the PDP or the APC?
The APC,
oh, especially. The APC is funding Abure?
I wouldn't know, but he is in bed with them, so they say.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's what is going on. To what end would APC be funding Labour Party?
Well, they know that the Labour Party is actually the opposition party, the #2 party in this country today. And they know that it is a veritable platform for us to challenge for the presidency. You know what happened last time around, the glitches and all of that. But for that, the Labour Party, of course.
Why do you think Mr. Abure will subject, based on your own allusion and your claims, why do you think Mr. Abure would subject himself being used by the ruling party against his own party?
Let me tell you why. Some people prefer to be kings in hell rather than be a chorister in heaven.
Is that the case?
Yes, and so Mr. Abure and his cohorts feel that this is time for them. They have gotten one state, has members in the House of Reps, in the Senate, in the state assemblies, and so it is time to reap from their sweat. Of course, they worked hard for the party, but a party is not run on the sentiments of a few individuals. In the APC, for instance, His Excellency Adamu Abdullahi led them to victory. Is he still chairman of the APC today? If it were an Abure, he would insist that he will remain chairman of that party.
Let me go to page 47, and I hope that my producers can provide us, because I want our viewers to be able to have understanding. A lot of you who may not be privy, and we will see how we can probably put the judgment as available to me here on the channel's website, and we'll see if that can be done before the end of the program. We'll put it on our website. Maybe a lot of you can be able to understand what the details of the judgment of the Supreme Court. Now, if you go to page 47, and quickly, if it can be put on the screen so that I can read some of the paragraphs. Page 47, and the top head of page 47, this is the front page. Can someone just go to page 47, and that's where I'm going to be reading from. And there's some summarization or how the Supreme Court interpreted its position on the crisis. And the Supreme Court says, the three issues submitted for determination are hereby jointly resolved in favor of the appellant. The appellant being Senator Nenadi Usman. Let me just read out who the appellants are. The appellants, number one, Senator Esther Nenadi Usman, Labour Party National Caretaker Committee Chair. Second, Honorable Darlington Nwokocha, Labour Party National Caretaker Committee Secretary. The respondents are Labour Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, let's go back to that page 47. It says, in summary, both the trial court and the court below had no jurisdiction to entertain the suit of this first respondent, which is the Labour Party, which may relieve, as they both rightly observed, was inserted as relief number 5, as though it was an appendage consequent upon the foregoing, the decisions of both trial court and the court below, recognizing Barrister Julius Abure as the national chairman of the first respondent, are hereby set aside, and suit number FHC ABJCS 1271 2024 is hereby struck out for want of jurisdiction. Don't forget, that is the High Court ruling, which says that Abure can act as the national chairman of the party. Yeah. In the same vein, the first respondent, which is the Labour Party, cross-appeal in the appeal number SCCV 56A 2025, being an offshoot of the same judgment of the below court, which is the appellate court, the appeal court, is hereby dismissed. Don't forget, the appeal court judgment says that Mr. Abure is the substantive, authentic national chairman of the Labour Party. Before I'm done, may I admonish political parties and their members to endeavor to always allow their constituents, constitutions, rules, regulations, and guidelines to guide them in choosing their officers as well as candidates. That way, incessant internal rifts, which always find a way to court, will be reduced if the constitution of the political party has prescribed duration for tenure of office of an officer. Such officer should be humble enough to leave at the expiration of the tenure. In the final analysis, I find this appeal to be meritorious and is hereby allowed. Parties shall bear their respective courts. Appeal allowed.
If you just read something, and the learned justice of the Supreme Court, Ian Gokoro, did point out, was inserted. When you see insertion, what does their mind tell you? It didn't go the right way. He tried to smuggle in. That is all the justice was trying to say. And like I said, I find it ridiculous that a layman will be sitting in judgment over the judgment of the highest court in the land. It can only happen with pseudo-comrades like Abure. We have gone ahead today to submit, even though INEC was a party to this suit, to submit the certified true copy of this judgment, parts of which you just read, to INEC to act on it and have Abure's name removed for all time. This is the highest court in the land. You know that in the midst of this crisis, a lot of people have sought to blame our leader, Mr. P2B, that he ought to have just come and made a pronouncement and everything will quiet. I have not spoken on this crisis in the last 1 year because I'm a disciple of Mr. P2B, and he says we must follow through the judicial processes, which came to an end last Friday, 4th of April. So you know that he's a product of the judiciary and has always believed in the judiciary instead of taking recourse to self-help, which of course is what Abure and his gang are doing right now.
What would you think in your mind as a lawmaker? And you've gone to meet INEC, and
yes,
hopefully you think that the persuasion that you and the leaders of the party today, led by Mr. Peter Obi, Nana-Adi Usman, and Alex Otti, you prevail on INEC to be able to recognize and allow Senator Nana-Adi Usman to be able to conduct the congresses and allow the party to move forward. Should that not be obliged? What option will be available to your party?
No, if it's not obliged, then they will put in themselves in the line of fire. That would mean a direct affront on the decision of the highest court in the land.
Because this judgment is subject to interpretation of the parties involved.
No judgment is subject to interpretation by the parties.
No, I'm saying, the reason why I'm saying that is that the confusion here is that the letters, as read by the Abure group, is as though they were empowered by this.
Have you even asked yourself what is contained in the cross of appeal by Abure that was thrown out? Have you asked yourself? You need to go and look at the cross appeal. And why would the Supreme Court throw it out in its entirety? Like I said, INEC is a party to this suit. And why would the Supreme Court resolve all the issues in favor of the Esther Nana-Adi Usman caretaker committee? These are simple issues. Our doors are still open, like I told you. Abure is a party man. We are grateful for his services to the party.
Does it make the group, the party, look vulnerable? Because, and how can you think that Nigerians will respect the capacity of the party to be able to put itself together?
No, it is now that we have even earned greater respect and admiration of multitudes of Nigerians. I just told you that Mr. Peter Obi is a due process person. He could have ended all this if he wanted to use I'm twisting 30s. But he said no. Let the processes go through the whole judicial hog. And it has. What else should the man do? The Supreme Court has returned the party to the owners. And the owners have told you who are the critical segments of the party that are with Abure. You have elected members.
So Abure is dancing alone with his group in the rain. You've thrown them outside of the house.
No. We have not thrown them out.
What about the party headquarters? They're still occupying it. They have the keys.
And we told you that
you are operating outside.
We follow.
You went to rent a hall in Transcorp, but they are sitting pretty, holding all the press conferences in the house.
We follow due process. We will take over our secretariat in the next few days. We follow due process. Just like we served these processes, the judgment on INEC, we have also served on the police and other security agencies. And of course, when we are ready, you don't, because you want to catch a rat, you burn down your house. No self-respecting person will do
you think that the Labour Party will be able to resolve these issues and be able to be fit enough to stand for any reasonable elections? Because the fear that I have, and as such a lot of people will have, is that the party, the Peter Obi and Nana-Adi Usman-led group today, I said they will review the Abure, the conduct of the primaries in Anambra led by Abure. It leaves the party in a quagmire, doesn't it?
No. They want to be proactive. This judgment came on Friday, preceding the Saturday, April 5th gubernatorial primaries in Anambra. And we don't want to be vulnerable. If you go ahead with that process, your opponent can wait for you. Anambra, forget that Abure is in power. We have more people on ground. With 2 senators out of 3, 6 House of Representative members out of 11. Then the imposing presence of Mr. Peter Obi as a son of Anambra. Then we are in pole position to clinch Anambra. So we don't want a situation where we will labor in vain. In our own labor, we shall labor to benefit and enjoy the benefits.
And the papa, mama, and the Peking will smile again.
We smile again.
Because the papa and the mama Peking, they don't look like they are smiling on your
No,
logo.
even brother.
Yeah.
Abure is a brother. He would also be part of the
He's
family.
not captured in that logo. Maybe he's a papa.
Who can redesign our logo.
But if you have the opportunity, let's assume that Mr. Abure is looking at you right now. What would you be telling him?
I will be telling him that national chairmanship of a party is not the be-all and end-all of life in a party. Life is about service. And even if you're the best and you want to serve people and they say no, do some other things.
So Mr. Abure's time is over?
No, there's still a window, I told you. You could still run for office.
Okay.
If you do one tenure and there are hiccups, I came in 2011 to 15. I was out of the House of Reps for 11, but I'm back here. I didn't go pulling down the house. So Abure should learn from that.
Honorable Victor Afam-Morgan is the leader of the Labour Party in the House of Representatives, representing the very good people of Anambra State.
Ogbaru Federal
Constituency. Thank you so much indeed, Honorable, for joining us. And I wish you and the papa, the mama, and the picking of your a very good times, because it's not the best of time for the Labour Party. And I hope that you get yourself together and be a good opposition, because Nigeria needs a very strong opposition. Thanks so much.
Certainly. Thank you for having me.
We'll take a break, everyone. But when we come back, we shall be hearing from the Julius Abure side of the divide. They insist they are the authentic, but you've heard the explanation and you saw page 47 of that judgment. We hear their explanation and more about the Labour Party after this break, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. In all of what is happening or that's happened today, you saw Mr. Peter Obi, Alex Otti, Dati Baba Ahmed, Olumide Akpata, all of them coming together. Said they've had a National Executive Committee Council meeting today at the Transcorp Eaton, and they went to INEC. But in all of this, where does this leave Mr. Julius Abure and his quote-unquote gang? The Julius Abure-led leadership of the party have dismissed the claim of legitimacy by the Nana Usman Caretaker Committee. They've said their supporters were jubilating for nothing. Mr. Ifo was, in a statement, is reacting to some of the issues that have been raised and says that the certified true copy of the Friday's Supreme Court judgment on the Labour Party's leadership crisis at the parallel National Executive Committee held by the LP presidential candidate Peter Obi and Governor Alex Otti in Abuja is nothing to rejoice about. When the Labour Party spokesperson mocked the gathering, saying there was nowhere in the CTC that a court mentioned that Abure must step aside. Let's get some clarity on this one. I'm being joined by Mr. Kendi Edwin, who is the legal advisor of the Labour Party. I don't know whether by that the judgment of the Supreme Court is over. You'll be speaking with us on. Are you a former or you are still substantive legal advisor of the Labour Party?
I'm substantive. I'm in office. I'm functioning. And my position is secure.
Yeah, and I'd like to put this caveat out. That as a lawyer, you've sworn to the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and you are also put yourself forward to obey the judgment of court and they uphold the Constitution of the Federal Republic. These, to paraphrase, these are some of the oaths that every lawyer who is bowed before the Supreme Court and being enrolled to practice in Nigeria, these are some of the words that you plead as oath. And I'm understanding tonight that you are going to speak in truth to the judgment of the Supreme Court. In your own assessment and interpretation as a lawyer, if laymen interpret the judgment wrongly, you can excuse them. But as a professional and a lawyer called to the Supreme Court and the bar of the Nigerian bar, what is your interpretation of that page 47?
Now, what the court has said is to emphasize the supremacy of the party, the supremacy of Labour Party over its internal affairs. And we are happy about that judgment. The Labour Party is happy that the court has advised everyone to obey what the party has done. And when you are talking about the party...
that the party has done?
Yes.
What is it?
That the party is running The party has taken decisions which is binding on all members. And when you are talking about the party, a party has governing bodies. The governing bodies are the organs of the party, from the National Convention to the National Executive Committee to the National Working Committee, the State Executive Council, the State Working Committee, down to the local government executive committee, the World Executive Committee, and the World Congress. What you have to realize is that the constitution of the party has actually stipulated how these bodies, how the membership of these bodies, how meetings of these bodies can be convened, and how decisions can be reached by all these bodies. They are organs of the party. And today, there is no doubt about it that these organs are led by individuals who have the authority to convene the meetings of all these organs. Let me tell you, this so-called caretaker committee, the foundation is faulty. There is nothing there. There is nothing that can come out of it. It's like when you talk about maybe somebody that has a K leg or a W leg, as they call it, and that person is carrying a load on his head. And people are saying, oh, your load is wobbly. You say, no, it is not from the head that you look at. Look down, look up from the leg. If the foundation is faulty, there's nothing that you can put on it. You can't put something.
But at the time the caretaker committee was set up in Umar here, there wasn't anything like Julius Abure as a national chairman, because at the time, he was in abeyance as far as the law is concerned.
There is nothing like being in abeyance. Once a party has taken a decision, no court has the power, and if no court has the power to set aside the decision of the party, INEC can also not set aside the decision of the party.
So let's look at what the Supreme Court judgment says.
Okay.
So in that case, you agree with me, as far as the facts are concerned, there are two appellants.
You're right.
Senator Leonard Usman and Honorable Umokocha. And on the other side, the respondents are the Labour Party, which you, Mr. Abure, and they all came under, and INEC. Now, let's go to page 47, the summary of the judgment of the Apex Court. And I'd like to read to you, Mr. Edun, some parts of what the judgment has revealed. In summary, the Supreme Court says, both the trial court and the court below had no jurisdiction to entertain the suit of these first respondent, which is the Labour Party, where you were defending, to entertain the suit of the first, which may relief, as the both rightly observed, was inserted as relief number 5, as though it was an appendage. There's a fault that the Supreme Court has given based on some of the relief that you sought. Consequent upon the foregoing, the decisions of the both trial court and the court below, recognizing Barrister Julius Abure as the national chairman of the first respondent, are hereby set aside and suit. I mean, what does that mean? If the Supreme Court said the judgment of both the trial courts, the Court of Appeal and the High Court has been set aside, the Court of Appeal says what?
No, let me explain to you what the court meant by that, what the Supreme Court meant.
Okay, so just a moment. Okay. Let's understand, because if these are the judgments that has been set aside, let's take the Court of Appeal judgment, because the trial, if you go too far, the High Court judgment, let's say the Court of Appeal. What was the ruling about Julius Abure at the Appeal Court? Because the court felt that, the Supreme Court said that no court should have entertained any matter by which anybody will be declared as national chairman. I'm saying that, so just remember, don't let us model things. The Court of Appeal, did it say that Julius Abure should be the national chairman or not? And the Supreme Court said that. Just remember, Mr. Edun, don't let us model things. Did the Court of Appeal say Julius Abure is the substantive and authentic national chairman or not? Remember, is that what the Court of Appeal said? Remember that court said that he has no jurisdiction to even entertain leadership issue in the political party. Don't let us now went ahead to say that. Don't let us come to the Supreme Court. No, I'm talking about the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal, yes. The Court of Appeal said clearly that he has no jurisdiction to pronounce anybody as national chairman of a political party. He now went ahead to say, but there is a judgment of this court that already settled that matter. What the Supreme Court said is that that
Court of Appeal shouldn't have made reference to that judgment. It should have led that judgment as it is. Not that that judgment was wrong. Not that that judgment that declared that by which Abure was admitted by all the parties at the national chairman. The Supreme Court did not say that judgment was wrong. The Supreme Court only said that because in this case, the court has no jurisdiction to delve into the leadership matter. And the court already said that it did not have that jurisdiction. That the court shouldn't have made reference, shouldn't have made any finding based on an earlier decision.
Those are the inferences.
The court said that
the rest, which is the court, I mean the Supreme Court is standing on right here, is that Mr. Abure, that has been recognized by the judgment of the Court of Appeal, that judgment has been set aside. Yes. Anything that is contained in that judgment, as far as the law of Nigeria is concerned, is nullity.
The Supreme Court said that the suit in the trial court, and also that appeal, the Supreme Court struck out. So, the only thing that the Supreme Court set aside was that reference to an earlier judgment, in which the court said that for clarity, that the leadership of the Labour Party is as in the judgment of this court that was decided on 13th November 2024, in which one Barrister Abure was admitted as the national chairman. The Supreme Court said that that court shouldn't have made that reference.
So no matter what the inference...
Not that earlier judgment was wrong.
Yeah, but the fact remains that it has been struck out.
Yes,
that appeal
was
the only reason why, just a moment, the only reason why Mr. Abure calls himself a national chairman is because the appeal court says so.
No, because Barrister Abure was elected at the National Convention of the party.
But it was disputed, isn't it?
Anybody can dispute anything.
The fact remains that you went to court to settle the dispute, isn't it?
No.
Why did you go to court?
We went to court and sued Abure. Let me tell you the genesis of this matter. We went to court to sue INEC. It was when INEC refused to release the code for the upload of names of agents for the Ondo governorship. That's the origin of this matter. It was not, in fact, Nenadi and the caretaker committee were not part of the suit originally because we had no dispute.
You were seeking clarity as to the powers of Abure-led NWC to be able to conduct the primaries and stand as...
Primaries was already conducted. A candidate has emerged.
There were parallel candidates. Don't forget.
No, that was not why we went to court. INEC already accepted the name of that candidate, and the name of candidate already uploaded as the candidate of the party for the Ondo governorship election. The reason we went to court was, now we needed to upload the name of our agents for that election, and we needed a code. The code needed to be given to the party by which we submit the name of agents. INEC did not release the code in time, and there was a training for those agents, and we needed to submit the names of our agents for INEC to train them, and INEC did not do that in time. So we now said that no, we are entitled to all these. These are privileges that should be afforded to all registered political parties who have nominated candidates and whose candidates have been accepted by INEC. So that was the reason for going to court. Now Nenadi now came, and the Nenadi-led caretaker committee now filed a joinder that they want to join in the suit. We filed a counter against it, but the court decided in this wisdom to join them to the suit. That was the thing. So when they went to after the court decided and said, well, INEC was supposed to have given this code to us, and INEC supposed to release this code to Abure. Now, that was the decision of the court. But the Nenadi-led caretaker committee went to the Court of Appeal and said that no, that court should not have made that decision. The Court of Appeal said from the beginning of the judgment that that appeal was odious and of no moment, because this matter was about the Odo governorship election, which
not about the leadership of the party.
No, let me what the court said. That this case was about the Odo governorship election, which had held and was passed, and because of that, that appeal was odious, of no moment, and was merely academic. But after saying that, and that was liable to be struck out, that was liable to be dismissed. Now, when the court said that he should have dismissed that matter, but you now went ahead that, well, this may go on appeal to the Supreme Court. So let me now review all the issues raised So he went ahead to review it. After reviewing all the issues, the court now concluded by saying, well, I've reviewed all these issues, not that I had jurisdiction, but because this matter may go on appeal to the Supreme Court, so that the Supreme Court will have some materials to work on. He now said that for clarity, that the decision about the legislature of this body had already been taken in an earlier decision of this court. He now made reference to that decision that same justice wrote. And he now said, I already wrote a judgment about the legislature of the party. And this is what the judgment said, that in that case, it was admitted by all the parties that Mr. Julius Abure is the national. And he now said that judgment, and he said that judgment is still subsisting.
I wanted you to land. So if there are issues as to who has a rightful entrance or ownership or possession of this house, and we go to court to say, I need to get the key, and Mr. Edu say, no, you cannot get it, and the court of appeal say, Shehu, you have the rightful ownership of the key, take the key. Isn't the court telling me that I am the rightful occupant or owner of that house? Is that not what the court has said?
Which court?
I'm trying to put a clarity so that our viewers can understand, because some of these legal issues could be confusing, and that's why we are here to break it down. And I'm saying that substantially, what the Court of Appeal said is that Julius Abure is recognized as the national chairman because the Supreme Court has decided. Now that he said, the Supreme Court said that is doesn't have any basis and been struck out.
Yes,
now
the Supreme Court said that even though you already decided that matter, but you shouldn't have imported that reference.
Let us not go far.
You don't have.
Let us just stay on the fact that as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, the decision of the both trial and the court below recognizing Barrister Julius Abure as a national chairman of the first respondent, which is the Labour Party, are hereby set aside and is hereby struck out for want of jurisdiction.
Yes.
In the same vein, the first respondent, the Labour Party's cross appeal, being an offshoot of the same judgment of the court below, is hereby dismissed.
Let me tell you what.
Just a moment, sir. Before I am done, this is a judgment and this is not an obiter.
Yes.
He said, may I admonish political parties and their members to endeavor to always allow their constitution, rules, regulations, and guidelines to guide them in choosing their officer as well as candidate. That way, incessant internal rift, which always find their way to court, will be reduced. If the constitution of the political party has prescribed duration for tenure of office on an officer, such officer should be humble enough to live at the expiration of the tenure. Who do you think the Supreme Court is talking about here?
Did not mention.
Who do you think is the Supreme Court is?
The advice is for political parties generally. But let me tell you, in this instance, that does not apply to the Labour Party. The Supreme Court has said that political parties should follow their constitution. And by the constitution of the Labour Party, according to what the Supreme Court said, yes, there was a tenure created in 2019. That tenure was supposed to expire in 2023. The neck of the party made a decision for the extension of that tenure. And that tenure was now supposed to expire on the 9th June 2024. But before that, a convention held. A convention of the party
that was not totally agreed upon by everyone.
Who?
How do you?
All the organs of the party are in support of that convention. The neck has the authority
Mr. Edu,
to set the agenda.
What is the structure of holding congresses of the party? Do you start from the top or you start from the bottom?
By the constitution of Labour Party. The ward, the local government, and the state, they have a 3-year tenure. Now, why national officers have 4-year tenure? Their tenure do not end at the same time. So by the time the tenure of the national officers are ending, the tenure of the states, the local government, the wards are still subsisting. So they don't hold it at the same time. There is no law, there is no rule that says
so
that.
So you are saying that all those structures still have their tenure intact?
By the time that convention held,
all right, just a moment. Let me allow you to listen to Governor Alex Otti.
Okay.
What he said in Transcourt today. Take a listen to him.
I had sat with Mr. Abure last year, and I asked him, I said, what do you really want? And he said he didn't want anything. I said, okay, I can speak to my leaders, and you can become a BOT chairman. I offered that with their approval. Or if you want to still lead this party, let's go through the process. go and purchase a form when the process starts, and if you win, you return as chairman. But I also gave him some pieces of advice. I said, if I were you, I wouldn't want to lead people who wouldn't want me to lead them. So if you come into this kind of room and I present myself and I said I want to be your chairman, and you say you don't want me to be, there is no way I can impose myself. So we are still extending the olive branch to him and those in the former National Working Committee to sheath their sword. There's no need fighting. They will just be delaying the doomsday.
With due respect to the governor, it is not the province of the governor to distribute positions in the party. There are organs of the party. For example, the National Executive Committee is supposed to set agenda for the National Convention, to set dates and agenda, which the National Executive Council sets.
If they're asking you and your colleagues and Mr. Abure to step aside, in the interest of the progress of the party, would you be stepping aside?
As far as I'm concerned, positions in the party are not so important to me. But the due process must be followed. Somebody cannot just stand up because he's governor.
So because they are seeing you and Mr. Julius Abure are sit tight and that you are being sponsored by...
I've only been in office for 1 year.
They say you are being sponsored by external forces.
That is not correct. If some people think that they can crush you because they are bigger, they are richer and everything, and they have not been able to crush you, they wonder where is your strength coming from. So it is natural that they will make speculations as to anybody sponsoring you. But that is not correct.
We wish you and your party the very best. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. God bless Nigeria.